In this Clash of Clans video, we are going to teach you 7 Town Hall 10 attack strategies that you can use in order to get 3 stars. Let's dive into it. Let's get things started here, guys, with the Electron into LavaLoon. One of my favorite strategies to watch, especially at Town Hall 10. It is so smooth, and this video has 7 powerful strategies, all just randomly put together. However, if you do want to see the top 3 best Town Hall 10 attacks, we did a video on that recently. I will be sure to send you across to that one at the end. Now, for the Electron method, you want to try and target, if you can, a multi-targeting Inferno Tower. You can do that with your Siege Machine by using your King and Queen to take out an area of the base here first, allowing direct pathing to this area. If you can use a Stone Slammer, it is the best option because it does a bit of damage onto the defenses as well. However, if that does not work due to the base design, a Battle Blimp can work well. Now, the main things you want to take down are the multi-Inferno, like I mentioned, but you're also taking an Electro Dragon to take down that enemy Archer Queen. Now, aside from that, you're taking down the multi, taking down the Archer Queen, the CC troops if you can, but you're creating pathing, which we've taken out the top of the base here, for the Lalo to sweep around. So it is a kill squad in itself. It's just a very sneaky way of doing it, and as long as the sweepers are pointing out of the way, it's often ideal to get a Stone Slammer or a Battle Blimp in to take out that area. Now, with the Lalo, it's very straightforward from there. You should have actually taken out a huge proportion of the base and made the pathing very, very easy. So it's just a case of using a couple of haste spells. You might have to put some balloons in somewhat surgically. However, they will clump up towards the back end of the base. That is expected, as with any Lalo. And if you do have splash damage, as in this case a multi, make sure that you do have plans for it. So a couple of freeze spells are used. I believe one of them was potentially planned for the Electron portion as well. However, not needed, so saved it for that final multi in combination with the haste spell. And really, this attack is super powerful. If you can find a base where you can get that Siege Machine into this area without the sweeper pushing you back, you can take out a multi, you can take out the Queen. You should then be good to finish things off with the Lalo. Do consider a couple of minions just to help out with cleanup here at the end, because especially with this attack, you've got multiple phases. You can run out of time if you are not careful. However, let's go ahead and dive across to the next strategy for this video. We might as well start the video with a 6-pack by Tyrant Trowley, this time with the Miners, a ground-based troop. And look at the timer on this video. It's an incredibly fast attack. That's because it is super powerful. The King and Queen are used on either side of the base, and that is the most simplistic way to use the Miners. Use your King on one side, in this case the left, the Queen on the right, and that focuses the fire of the Miners through the middle. Let me draw a line here so that you can see that even easier. The central part of the base, all of the defenses are there, very easy for the Miners to take out. They are not going to be drawn to the outside of the base because the King and Queen are dealing with that. If you can create pathing like that for the Miners, they can focus their fire on the defenses. They are incredibly powerful. In an ideal world, you do not want any trash buildings on the inside. We did have storages in there for this attack. That is why a rage spell was used. However, if you can create that pathing, if you can get onto the defenses without the Miners going outside, you are going to be good to use them, especially if you have a CC troop such as the Lava Hound, which really won't do any damage. Just keep your Queen away from it. It's also ideal because the enemy Queen, even if she's in the base, the Miners can take her out easily, unlike if you're trying to use Hog Riders or the Lalo. I personally love this attack strategy. The Drag Bat is something which can be used across a variety of bases, one of my favorite strategies to use at Town Hall 10, and I should mention to you guys as well that all of the attacks in this video are by Toxic Rabbits. If you are interested in joining us, maxed out Town Hall 10 players and above, you can apply via their Discord. It's all linked within mine, so be sure to check that out, guys. However, let's dive into the Drag Bat attack. Basically what you're doing here is you're using your bats in an area of the base where you can help support the dragons. They are the main force of the push. You want to try and take out splash damage, i.e. wizard towers and multi-infernos with the dragons, and take out air defense, single infernos, any other point defense with the bats. So all we're doing here is using the queen on one side, the king on the other, in order to create pathing for the dragons. Think about what we just talked about with the miners. Dragons work exactly the same. Set up the pathing for them and they will do tremendous. So they come right into this thick area here, and the bats are then used over on the multi-inferno. We do have to freeze it first in order to get our bats through that, because it would do tremendous damage if not. However, the bats are then used across this entire left hand side, keeping the pathing of the dragons maintained through their half of the base. Otherwise, they could be drawn over here and they'd lose that pathing we talked about. So they're coming straight through this half of the base. The bats do help to support that, so try and do that if you can. You can use the bats to take out any areas of the base that will do major damage to the dragons. Obviously, you want to try and keep the bats alive, but you want to try and use the dragons and the bats together, ideally. So you should put the dragons in first. After you've set up that funnel, try and take out as much splash as you can, and then the bats come in combination with the dragons. You can use them as we did here, in one spot, take out a splash first and then try and clear out another area, or if it makes more sense, depending on the base design and you've got a thinner area of defenses, you could put them in more of a bat wave technique. However, you want that smooth push with the dragons, similar to the miners, from one side of the base to the other. This is an incredibly fast attack. However, do take note on time. You want to try and be as efficient as possible with them defenses so that you've got as many dragons looping to the final buildings. It's not really worth taking any cleanup troops, but it's all about trying to sweep from one side to the other and not necessarily leaving a building at the other side of the map. The drag bat will work incredible. Just use them heroes to help set up the funnel for your dragons. The Hog Riders have always been one of the best strategies at Town Hall 10. However, this method I do feel is overlooked a little bit in terms of the Sui Hog Riders. Let's break it down for you. If you do have access to a stone slammer in an ideal world, you're able to take out a few defenses en route, but notice what we're targeting here. The enemy queen, that is the main focus here. Valkyries inside the slammer is a great option, and a rage spell is often usable in an area in order to take out that area of defenses as well. So basically we're taking out this entire top section. The rage spell helps the Valkyries through that. We don't have to worry about the Lava Hound in the clan castle now that the balloon is down, and you can use your heroes on a different side of the base. Now that we've taken out the queen, that's the main focus. In this one, the heroes are used at the opposite side, trying to get to that enemy king if you can. However, more importantly, taking out this bottom area of the base. So let's draw a line. Once the bottom area is out and once the top area is out, we now have this room through the center where the Hog Riders will go. Hog Riders, defense targeting troops, like anything, it is about creating their pathing, but it's about creating pathing with defenses, not necessarily all of the buildings as of what you just seen with the miners and the dragons. So Hog Riders do come in from this left hand side, and you have to try and target them to different buildings. You've got enough of them, so that should work. So they merge together and move through this base in one line. If you just put them all in together, they'd potentially start splitting all over the place here, and it would then be inefficient. You want them to merge together, and then that's where the heal spell is used, and then you basically want to keep them heal spells used in areas of splash or high volume defenses as they move through the base. So when you get to wizard towers and multis is your main area. Do consider a second poison spell, especially if you have a scout, that is that someone's already attacked the base and you know that there's ground based skeletons, because coming down to the end of it can be incredibly useful. The king stays alive on this one. Now if you can, you do want to take down the king. He's a hero and a defense in itself, which will be able to attack the ground based hogs, not like LavaLoon. So the king is something you need to take down. However, prioritize the queen. She does a lot more damage. If you can get huge value, the Hog Riders are fast, and whilst you will lose a couple to the king, generally speaking, if it's going to cost too much to get to him, it's okay to lose use a couple of hogs just to run straight past him. Do consider buildings in the middle though. You might have to take a miner or a wizard or a minion, sorry, if the wizard can't get to it, if you don't think you have enough time. However, if done correctly, your Hog Riders will act as cleanup, and this is an incredible strategy which is featured a lot in my Town Hall 10 playlist. I'll link that above here. However, I do have a playlist on my homepage for each and every Town Hall level. The Falcon was an attack strategy which people were using so much quite some time ago within the game now. Let me know in the comments if you remember that phase of Clash and if you used to use this strategy. However, it is the Valkyries and Bowlers getting them into the center of the base, and you want to use this on bases where it's easy to control pathing into the center, but you can create a huge amount of damage very quickly and take out the majority of the base. So you want to use a Queen Walk into Queen Charge. A Queen Walk is when you walk the Queen on the outside. Queen Charge is when you send her into the base. So the Queen Walk acts as a bit of a funnel, and then you cut in front of the Queen with the Valkyries and the Bowlers. The healers will then swap off onto the Valkyries and Bowlers. Any troops that are ahead and taking damage, the healers will then go to. You don't have to worry about jump spells for this because the Valkyries do so much damage, but you want to use a combination of rage and heal to get them through the base. And again, look at how much damage they do here initially. As long as you can power them into the center, and most of the damage from the defenses is within the center, and you can wipe that out very quickly, you are going to be good here. You will have your Queen, which should survive through that fire, and also some Valkyries. You can use Hog Riders sprinkled onto the defenses that survive. However, a Stone Slammer also works well. Notice how it just slowly moves around the defenses, and then obviously you have troops within inside that as well. Most of the time balloons are good for that because you're using it onto defenses that are left up. They can normally do very well to get through them even if there is walls in the way. It's a very fast attack, so you don't really have to worry about time as long as you haven't had a super long Queen Walk, but it's just enough to set the funnel before you come into the base. Again, majority of the base is down here, so there's only just a few defenses and it's enough to deal with it. The beautiful thing about this strategy is when you've gutted the middle of the base, the Valkyries and Bowlers are taking all of the damage. The Queen is a ranged troop. She will stand behind them troops because you cut the other ones in front of her, which means you should be able to save onto that ability for when you really need it, which is when you have these defenses at the end. Don't worry guys, this is how the attack normally finishes off, just slowly cleaning the defenses, but if you can get into the center, you know you can path them Valkyries through the base very quickly, you can take the core of the base down incredibly fast, and that's what makes the Falcon attack very powerful, helping us wrap up the 3 stars here. But let's move to a different strategy. We have just one more attack after this one before I send you across to the top 3 Town Hall 10 attacks. Very, very powerful, and this one is actually featured within that, the Queen Charge into LavaLoon. Now the LavaLoon can be done in a number of ways. The Electron that you've seen at the start of this video is very much a version of the Lalo, but the Electron is a tactic within itself and means that the Lalo is quite easy to do after that. You've really set up the base well. However, the LavaLoon can be used as a huge strategy, just a Sui method, or you can use your kill squad, and the Queen Charge is a method of the kill squad. So for the Queen Charge, as we just mentioned, that is sending her into the base. You need to basically set off the funnel on either side so that she'll walk in, otherwise there's a chance that she can walk around. The Earthquake spells on this one is a great use because it opens up all of these compartments, but it also damages the defenses in here so the Queen can go through them incredibly fast. Couple of key things you want to try and take down. Enemy Queen, very, very top of that list. Try and take that enemy Queen. Clan Castle troops are also high up that list, but it depends if you know what's in them. And also pathing for the Lalo, so we're taking out this entire section, meaning that we now can bring the Lalo around the top. If you can take out a multi, you want to try that. However, if you're attacking two multis with the Lalo, try and get the slammer onto one of them and surround it as well. So notice the balloons coming in from different angles here, and with them haste spells, get on top of it incredibly fast. Try and get the Lalo in to protect your queen as well, and again, coming to the areas of splash, notice the multi and the wizard tower here. You've got to have a plan for that. So a haste spell is enough to power the balloons through that incredibly quickly, and you'll be surprised how fast them defenses go down when you plan them areas. You should have a general idea as to where your Lalo and your balloons will path after the queen charge. However, you have to be somewhat adaptable. Notice how since we did get the LavaLoon in quick enough, the queen has stayed alive. You'll be surprised how good that is as well, because it helps to take out trash buildings, but also the LavaLoon is all about momentum, keeping the balloons from one defense to the next, and as the queen takes down the odd extra defense, that has a massive knock-on effect on the Lalo, which is definitely going to help you. But let's move on to the final attack of this video. Sammy finishing this off with a beautiful demonstration of the BoWitch. Now the BoWitch, similar to the Falcon, was a strategy which really took over the game for a little while. Let me know if you remember that period of the game as well, but it's always been strong at Town Hall 10. Different to a lot of the strategies we've taught you in this video, the BoWitch, basically you're sweeping from one side and you have three different armies, one round either side of the base and your main push through the middle. So it's not necessarily creating pathing and using kill squads as we've mentioned, it's all about just focusing through the center. So using some healers if they're out of the way of air defense is good on the outside, but all of your spells should be used on the middle. The outside basically helps to focus the fire through the center. Wall wreckers are fantastic for this, obviously starting on the opposite side of the town hall, and you should be able to get access through both of the multi-infernos. First one already went down, we've got direct access to the next one thanks to the jump spell, which is always good to use because your wall wrecker is likely to pop before the opposite side of the base. So make sure you have a jump spell as well if you think you're going to need it. It's often good to have either Valkyries or Bowlers depending on where you feel the wall wrecker is going to pop, and you can use a rage and a heal sometimes if they're going to be taking a lot of damage in order to really do a lot of damage within the core and help to wipe out the base. Now this is often what happens, similar to that Falcon attack. As long as you can gut out the core, you should be good to protect your queen, and the witches coming around the outside of the base should then start to slowly be able to overwhelm things as there's less and less defenses. And as your queen finally gets out, she can help to take these out as well. Even if, let's say, there's buildings on the inside of the base, as long as they're not in the core, which they shouldn't be, you will be able to get to them and help yourself to some nice 3 stars. I hope all of them strategies have helped you, but if you want to see the top 3 best Town Hall 10 attacks right now, be sure to watch this video. It will help you out massively, guys. But until next time, peace out.